All right. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. My name is Paige Lussier Johnson, and I am going to be hosting my inaugural Zoom interview with one of my favorite people today that I've been following on Facebook since COVID started. She's gotten me through many a days. Yes, you.
Wow.
So I have been doing radio interviews since 2005, but it's always through the radio. So this is my first time transitioning into the world of Zoom and Facebook and technology, and my friend here always encourages us to be brave and to step out of our comfort zone. So you are the person I am doing this with today. The theme for my radio show is Heart as a Compass. And I love finding fellow souls on this journey of life, souls that inspire me and challenge me. And who we have on today, Shiela Baker, is one of those people. She is a wonderful soul. And we're going to talk about following your intuitive guidance, following your heart on Facebook and in this wonderful world where we can become friends and very intimately know almost a stranger. We have this world where the planet is small and we can get to know and share our world in beautiful and intimate ways. And I love to collect people's stories. I'm fascinated by all of us, like little tiny flowers in our own garden, grow up to be this beautiful bouquet of humanity. And so with no further ado, I am going to introduce my dear friend, Shiela Baker, who I met thanks to divine coincidence on Facebook. I will tell you the story. I was on Facebook one day and I was grouchy and tired and I was sad. And a live Facebook popped up of this magnificent woman drumming. And I was like, who are you? And I just sat and I watched you drum. And at the end, I felt so much better. And every day during COVID, this amazing soul would pop on to just keep the humanity beat going. And I want to let you know that your effort was noticed around the world by me and by others as well, I'm sure, who are just coming out of the woodwork now. And I want you to know, and I want to recognize you for giving a gift to all of us, to strangers, people you don't even know, the commitment of you coming onto Facebook Live every day to cheer us up and cheer us on and make us feel loved was a gift. And thank you for that gift. Thank you for committing and being there. Thank you for being a rock in a world full of turbulence. I see you and I thank you for everything that you've done. I'm so honored to have you on my radio show today. And so why don't I pass the mic over to you so you can kind of introduce your soul and your light and your mission, and I will be glad to listen and ask a couple questions as we go.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm a little gobsmacked. So when I'm calling this the conundrum, and I love that it ends in drum. So when this all started, Spirit said to me, you're going to drum every day to raise the vibe to love and above. And I was like, all right, okay. And I would get on, and every day, I had to get dressed up and all that. So it was really a beautiful It was a reciprocity of commitment because I committed, and then I had to commit to myself. I had to follow up with committing to myself to show up, to stand up, and to call bullshit when I heard bullshit. So, pardon me, but I might look like a lady.
That's why I heart you. No, and it was your authenticity because of that. Like, we were all kind of cloistered and secret in our own little closet living rooms, barely going out in the world. And here's this magnificent soul coming up and being like, what's up? I'm drumming. And I'm going to tell you. And I needed, there were days that I needed that. And and it's not like I was always on Facebook, you know, and I got alerts. It's just like, I'd like, some days I'd be like, and then all of a sudden you pop into my feed and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
That's my joy, really, is to pop into people's lives and stir things up and inspire them to, you know, do more than you think you can do. If you can think, like, here's a bar right here, don't go for that bar, go for there. You know,
Yeah.
always, always, always inspire yourself. Get up in the morning and have a look and say to yourself, you are amazing. And then be damned if after a while you're not amazing. And it doesn't matter what you're amazing at. Honestly, we need everyone's amazing to make this beautiful thing that you talked about, this bouquet of humanity. I mean, you know, we don't all want to be chicken farmers or cattle ranchers or sunflower growers. You know, we're amazingly diverse, and together we make up a whole. And without any one of us, there's something that doesn't get actualized. And you know, your heart radiates out 360 degrees. So when you walk into my door, it has a thing. It says, just love everybody. Now, that is the most difficult challenge that I have, because there's a part of us that wants to judge and make people wrong. And what if? What if there is no wrong? You know,
Mm.
what if everybody is, oh, here's what I believe. I believe we all have soul contracts, that we're up wherever or down or sideways before we get here, and we go, sure, I'll do that, and we sign. And some of us even go, I think I can take on a little more. And so we invite that taking on a little more. So our soul contracts are like you and me. We're out here, we're exposing ourselves, we're offering our insights from our lives, which are juicy and rich and lush and exuberant at times, and then imploding, sitting in the closet and other times. But it's that balance in what you have to offer that is completely unique. If you don't do your dharma, if you don't do it, it is never, I don't care how many billion years, it's never going to be done the way you are going to do it, because you're divinely inspired to do what I mean, you know, you're divinely inspired to go, you know what? I can do this. I can figure out how to connect with people and also get them to connect out as well. So, yeah. So let me just see. Are you sharing this on my page now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We have
Look at that. So hello, everyone on Facebook.
This is a big adventure. I'm so excited.
Me too, because I've never actually done Zoom and put it onto Facebook. And I've got, ooh, I know, I think I can do this. But thank you for taking the time to show me how to do that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I Googled it this morning and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out.
And honestly, that's all it takes, right? Is an idea becomes a thought. And when you take action on it, then you can make that a habit.
Yep.
And that's actually how it all happens, is we get this idea, ooh, I'm going to interview these wonderful, juicy women. And then, okay, so how am I going to do it? Then that thought, and then you take action.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just lulls around in your head like mind frick, and nothing ever actually happens because you haven't taken an action.
Yeah. Well, we're doing it. One thing I want, because not everybody knows you like I do, and I love your story. Can you tell us about your journey, how you said spirit told you. So tell us about how spirit started talking to you and how you followed your heart and where it leads us together here in this now moment.
Wow. Okay. So it all started when I bent over to wash my hands in the lake and I fell in. And it could have been, like 3 seconds or it could have been longer. But this is really shocking to a little person. You tumble in the water and then you can't get your feet underneath you. So, someone yanked me out. But sitting in the car driving home, I was in the back seat, wrapped up and all of that. But I could see my brother sitting between my parents in the front seat. And I'm like, how come he's in the front seat? But he wasn't born for another 3 years. So, boom, I'm in the water, I'm back out, and I'm seeing stuff. Now,
Mm.
it didn't occur to me that everyone else, it didn't occur to me for like 40 years that everyone else didn't see what I saw, wasn't divinely guided, never, I just thought that everyone did this. And I started looking for, I knew that there was something, I had something special to offer. And so I started looking for what was that. And um, I ended up being a nurse, which I'm an empath, so that was a little troubling. I mean, it was very difficult. And this was, back in 1965. So there was no words for empath. There was no words for, sensitive people. There's something wrong with you. So I was misdiagnosed with epilepsy and manic depression. I'm 19 years old. Mhm.
Mm.
Now, empaths, we have different brain waves, right? Because we can pick up things that other people can't. We can sense things that other people can't. And so, and honestly, I believe everyone is an empath, but we've just turned it down and we numb it out. So we don't have to feel all of that. So there I am. I'm 19. I'm being a student nurse. I'm in a dormitory because that's how they did it back then. And even if you got married, they tried to make you live in the dormitory. So that didn't fly with one girl. She's like, no, that's not happening. So, so you're there and you're in a pretty male-dominated world. Um, and so I knew that the body and the mind were connected. I knew that emotions played a huge, um, had a huge effect on the way your body responds to things. And so I would talk to the doctors about that. And I got into a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. Because they didn't want to hear that something that they didn't believe was possible.
Mm.
And so that was a really soul crushing kind of thing. And as a matter of fact, after a divorce, rather than go back into nursing, I became a cleaning lady. So that's how devastating that that profession was for me. Not for everyone, but for me personally. Um, and I had a lot of trouble. No one knew about hormones back there, but I was having hot flashes. And, I'm 19 years old, I'm having hot flashes, and no one knows anything about this. So, misdiagnosis, I started looking for what's the real truth.
Mm.
Because after a couple of weeks on those medications, I was kind of like, okay. And I realized that, I'm too much for that
Yeah.
for that. So I quit the meds. No one ever said boo to me about it, which I thought was really fascinating. And I started looking. So I started looking at how does the brain work and how does the mind, how does the brain work? But what is this thing called a mind that is so captivating that we follow what it says even when it's dead wrong?
Mm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So so I call that the itty bitty shitty committee. Everyone has one.
Yep.
Yep. So, um, so that was all happening like before I was even 20 years old. So I started looking into brain science and I started looking into, how does the mind work and take over the body? How does that happen? And a couple of years ago, I did just as this was starting to happen. I could feel something was going on, and everyone was frightened, and so I ran a challenge called Fearless as Fuck, because I think that first of all it's shocking. Second of all, it
Mhm.
makes people smile, so you get that emotional react. Oh yeah, I want to be that, and the thing, I'll get back to the story in a minute, but the thing about fear and excitement in the body, they are so incredibly similar.
They
Your
are.
heart races, your tummy gets all like this, you get all sweaty and sticky palms and your dry mouth. Same like excitement. But what happens? That mind says, oh, you better be afraid of this. And so
Mhm.
we contract into fear.
Mhm.
But now that you and everyone else out there in in Facebook land has heard this, you can't do that anymore,
Mm.
because now you know that the body has a similar response. So
Yeah.
you get to train your brain
Mhm.
into going, wait a minute, is it a, I call it a bear or a bus? Is it a bear or a bus? If it's neither of those things, if a bus isn't dashing madly at me to smoosh
Okay.
me on the road, or a
Yeah.
bear isn't coming, going to chomp me, then I'm at choice.
I like that.
At choice. So bear or a bus. So,
Okay.
mhm. So let's see. Oh yeah. So oh, my life has been a very interesting adventure, because Spirit just says you're going to go over here and you're going to do this. So, and this is probably the very first time I've ever shared this story. So let me take a little minute. So, I'm 37 years old and I'm going back to school. And I'm really curious about, why do people trust each other? And I'm at the bar and I'm watching and I'm looking at people who dance together. They stay together. They don't just dance one dance and away they go, but they come back and they dance again. They'll go back and have a sip and then they dance again. And so I was studying to be a dance education person. And so I talked to one of my profs, and she was like, you need to know about dance movement therapy. So that summer, I'm back in school. I'm 37 years old, and I do this intensive 2 weeks, and I know that this is what I'm meant to do. And Spirit is like, yes, you're meant to go. So that happened in August, and they would have accepted me right there into grad school with only 2 years of an undergrad degree, because I had life experience. I was a nurse, I was a mom, I'd run a business, and so they would, they were happy to have me. And I realized that, I had 2 kids and 2 cats, and I couldn't, 2 husbands, I couldn't just like go. And so I took a year and prepared everyone that I was going to go. And my younger daughter was completely devoted to her dad, so she stayed with her dad. My older daughter, she was 15, and so she was at choice. She chose to stay. So off I go. All of a sudden, not only am I single mom, but I'm single. And I'm going to another country. I'm leaving my kids in Calgary, Alberta, Canada with their dads, and I'm off on this adventure. And, I have never gone back. I've never gone back to Calgary. Um, I'm best friends with one of my daughters. The other daughter, she doesn't talk to me right now, but I have an idea about that. It's a soul contract. And this is the way that I got through being a psychotherapist, a children and family psychotherapist, was that I stepped back, and when my heart ached and my gut was sick, I went, wait a minute. How is this possible? And I went, soul contracts. And I started researching, because spirit just goes boom, tells me something, and then I like go out and authenticate it. And as a matter of fact, I ended up teaching classes here in the Seattle area at a woman's house who wrote a book on soul contracts. So
Make this stuff up.
nope. So years after I was like, soul contracts, that's what it's all about. And you make them before you come in. And
Mhm.
so people that you connect with, you've already said yes. You've already said yes. Now we have free will. This is the beautiful part.
Mhm.
So we are now at choice after having said yes. And as a matter of fact, you can decommit from your soul contracts.
You can like take the claws out.
You can. You can say either not this time or never. I'm never doing that. So this
Clear,
is
cancel, delete.
rewind. uh, so so in between nursing and being a mom and then moving to a different country, I had a pretty regular life.
I
I
want to
even
interrupt real quick because
Yeah.
I don't want the story to go any further without understanding how did I know fearless as fuck. That's important. But for like the rest of us, that stepping out into the unknown and doing that is very scary. And it sounds like you've just always intuitively done that. So what is, you know, did you ever like how did you figure out like that's a yes and I'm going to continue doing that? Because that seems like the key to everything is
Mhm.
being able to know when it's a yes to follow. So how do you know it's a yes?
Well, you remember that heart as a compass thing?
Yes.
Okay, you cannot think your way through life.
Hmm.
I mean, if you if you stop and think about it, you're not going to make the decisions you're going to make if you just feel into it. Does this feel right to me? So I had a teacher, she would say, suss it out, sniff it out, taste it. Don't just rely on what you can see. Because, I mean, I just created an illusion here.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I just got right out of bed, washed my face, did a little hot stuff with there, put on some lipstick, got my shiny shirt, and here I am. I'm an illusion. And after a little while, I'll be the illusion in the garden. Different outfit, same body. So the thing is, we create, and this is where the power really is. And I'm not crazy about that word, but this is where you really are in your true essence. When you can go Yahoo yes or hell no.
Mm.
Those are the two things. So when I was a children and family therapist, I would teach parents, listen, don't just say to your kid, what do you want to eat? It's a big world out there. Say, do you want a peanut butter sandwich or do you want a cheese sandwich? So it's either Yahoo yes or it's hell no.
Mm. Yep.
And that really keeps it simple. You're either drawn towards something and you're moving in that direction, or you're staying still and maybe you're stuck, because there's always that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you when you come to making it that simple, peanut butter or cheese. I
Yep.
mean, and you bring it down to that because you're either for something or you're not for something. And I'm not for everyone. You're not for everyone. Everyone isn't for everyone.
Right.
It doesn't matter how rich and famous you are. People are going to judge you and you're going to be not for them. And that's okay. That's okay because, can
So every decision, even the really big ones, Yahoo, peanut butter sandwich or cheese, like just boil it down to whatever it is. It's a yes or a no, and you go with that gut Yahoo yes, and so you follow the yeses.
yeah. So
Beautiful.
I'm going to talk about imagination and intuition. So when we're little, like really little, we're already having our imagination and our intuition hijacked. Just like that. Because You know, a kid has an imaginary friend. After a while, the mom is just sick and tired of putting a plate on there for this imaginary friend. So she starts to say, forget it. You don't have an imaginary friend. You don't have a friend. And so that child starts to shut down their imagination. And then the kid goes, well, I want to do this. And the parents say, we can't afford that. There it goes again. So, you know, we bump up against these things that our desires want us to do, especially when we're little. And by the time, do you know, a child, by the time they're 5, here's 65,000 no's. And that's an old statistic. 65,000.
Mhm.
Don't do that. Stop. Don't put your finger in there. Get down from there. Do you know I have never climbed a tree? Ever. I know. Because,
That's
yeah.
on your list. You come to New Hampshire with me. I'll find you a climbing tree. We'll climb trees together.
Well, do you know, I actually went to school in Keene, New Hampshire. That's
Yes,
where I
you.
got my, yep, that's where I got my master's degree, was from Antioch at Keene, New Hampshire. Yep,
All right. Well, when you come back for a reunion, we're climbing trees together.
awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So let's see, where did I get you to? 37. Okay,
37. Yep.
all right. Boom, another country. And, you know, I gave the East Coast a whirl. I lived in Boston for 4.5 years. It took me a year and a half to make a friend. That was sad. And, but that's just not my jam, you know. And after a while, I went, okay, okay, I've been here. Where am I going now?
Mm.
And so I literally got out the map and I went, well, no one lives in the middle here. And what am I missing? I'm missing sunsets. I love sunsets. So I went from Boston to Seattle and I sent out, this was 1990, I sent out 75 resumes. That was back in the olden days. Look in the envelope, stick in the stamp, away it went. And I got 10 interviews. I got three 3-second interviews and 2 job offers. So I drove across the country, and then and I ended up here in Seattle, and now I live on Native American land just north of Seattle. And the journey to get to where I am and where I created a logo like this was one of, I was studying astrology with someone, Sheila Ballinger is her name, and she was teaching us with a constant rhythmic drumbeat to journey to the planets, and this was how we were learning astrology. But all kinds of interesting things started happening in the journey process. It's called a shamanic journey.
Hmm.
And with a constant rhythmic drum beat, your brain drops into a theta state, and it gets into deep meditative state where you can access information from the quantum field of infinite potential.
Hmm.
The ancient shaman knew how to do this. This was how they healed. This was how they knew when the eclipses were. This was how they knew when to migrate. This was how they knew how to keep their community whole and healthy, which was the shaman's job, was to
Hmm.
make sure everybody was whole, everyone was healthy. They gathered the herbs. They did the poultices and the potions and the lotions and all of that, and kept everyone happy. So, okay, wait a second. I kind of lost track of where I was.
Astrology, drumming.
Thank you. Yay. The
I
stars.
can hear it in the background. I'm getting into the zone.
Yeah. So, this teaching that she did in this particular way, um, a bunch of us said, you know, astrology is really interesting, but whoa, we want to know about this. So she
Mm.
taught us, and we did sweat lodges, and we did vision quest. And after my first vision quest, which was coming up on 25 years ago, I quit my job. I went back and I went, I can't do this anymore, because the shamanic journey process is the most incredible therapeutic tool I have ever seen, because you get a guide, and that guide already knows you. You don't have to tell your story. They've been waiting for you to ask for help since you were maybe a twinkle in someone's eye. So they're there, they're ready, and they give you information that no two-legged can give you, because as a two-legged we have agendas, right?
Mm.
And we can't help ourselves. It's not like we're not supposed to have agendas, we just have them. So and talk therapy, the kind of talk therapy that I was doing, it just wasn't working. In my opinion, it was re-wounding someone every week, and it just hurt too. It just hurt too much to do that. So I go on my first vision quest. I come back. That week, I cannot stand up. I literally was bent over like this. And so I take that week and I take that week off, and I feel into, this is a hell no. So I go in and
Thank you.
I hand in my resignation. And
Mm-hmm.
I had made a commitment to stay in a job. I had never done that for 5 years. And so I committed to staying in a job for 5 years, and I ended up being there for 6 3/4. And I just realized that, I gotta go, because I have something that actually works and that
Mm.
people can learn to do really easily, and then they can do it anytime. So I wrote a couple books about shamanic journeying, and I recorded an MP3 so that, not everyone can get to me, and not everyone is meant to get to me. But I am having a retreat this summer, so I'll tell you about that. Yeah. And, but then they could learn to do this, because it's, well, I was going to say it's not rocket science. No, what it is it's deeply moving within to connections that you just can't have the same connection here on this plane. And I have little reminders here. Here's my bear. This is my male ancestor. My male ancestor, when I teach how to journey,
Mm-hmm.
I teach about journeying in a canoe, and you invite your ancestors. So my ancestor, for the very first time, my male ancestor, showed up as a bear. And I didn't question it. I didn't go, well, how's that possible? I went, oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah. I mean, So and my female ancestor showed up as this elder grandmother, Native American. I don't know if I have any Native blood in me. I kind of think that anybody who made it across the country probably does, but way back then. But who knows? And I'm not called to find out either. Have a lot I have a lot of trust in my life. There's times when I get all wobbly and like, what's going on? But always spirit has my back. And when I stop the wobble and go,
Mm.
whoa, then I go, oh, wait a minute. What do I know how to do? I know how to do a shamanic journey. I know how to ask for information, and I know how to implement it. So that's part of what I teach. I help people. Um, I'm calling myself the dream queen now. I'm a shamanic priestess, and I help people make their dreams come true,
Mm.
because I help them understand what's important to them, and what their beliefs are. And some of their beliefs aren't holding with their truth, so they get
Mm.
to you know take care of those, create new beliefs, and write a new story, and then live into that story. I think this is a powerful time for us to do that. So, you know, and one of the things I teach them to do, and I encourage all of you who are listening to do this, is write your old story.
Mm.
Write it out. But don't take a week. Take 45 minutes max. If it's not on paper in 45 minutes, how important really is it?
Right.
If you're saying, I'm writing my story, you give yourself 45 minutes. At the end of that 45 minutes, and put a buzzer on, strike a match, and light that story on fire. Mhm. This
Mm,
is an alchemical process. And until creation happens when something dissolves, right? It
mm-hmm,
doesn't happen on top of the old story. I mean, the leaves fall down, they compost, they turn into mulch, and then they are turned into feeding the new story, right? And up
mm-hmm.
comes that. So write your old story, burn your old story, bury your story, bury it, because what that will do is it'll cause a rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and write the story that you want to live into.
Yeah.
There's, I mean,
It
we have
feels like that energetically right now. It feels like, especially after COVID, that we're all rebirthing, that we're all kind of coming out of this with a deeper knowing, a deeper yes. Like, I'm here. I'm so blessed to be here. What am I going to do while I'm here? And it feels like every time, I know that during COVID for me, I went very deep down my spiritual path, and I feel this, it's energetic right now. It feels like everyone's, and all of a sudden I went from being the weird woo woo girl who had no one to talk to about my woo woo stuff to all of a sudden people are saying words like soul and energy and Schumann resonance and shamanic practitioner and soul guides. It's like, yes, finally I could start talking to people again. And there are so many people who are just like, I know, I mean, I've been on my spiritual journey for a long, long time, and it's ebbed and flowed. And I don't think I've said hell yes enough, but I'm working on that.
no
But
Yahoo yes and hell no.
Yahoo, yes. Yeah, Yahoo, yes. But well,
Yahoo.
and it's interesting too, because our connection is kind of in Keen, and I'm a, I work with the inner artist. So I tend to work with people kind of fall, and improv is all about yes, saying yes. And so you're just kind of meshing right into like everything that I intuitively feel. But there are many, many people out there who are going, I just heard the word spirit guide for the first time a year ago, and now I'm hearing it all over the place. And what advice do you have to people that are just kind of waking up and stretching their arms and going, who am I? What about the person that just wrote their letter and did poof? And they go, okay, I'm rebirth. What does that mean? What does that mean? What's your advice?
So, three important questions to ask yourself is, who am I? What do I desire? Not what do I want, but what do I desire?
Mm,
And who am I to serve? We're all serving someone.
okay.
We all serve someone, whether no matter your role. If you're a traditional stay-at-home mom, you're serving your kids and your partner. And if you're out at work, you're serving that. And we want to really redefine service.
Okay.
Okay. I believe I am of service. I'm here to be of service. And if we think that we're a reflection of the divine, then what
Mm,
is the divine all about? Or if we think we're a reflection of the sun, what is the sun all about? It's about giving life, right?
mm,
So serving is giving life. I mean, and you spoke really beautifully about this in the beginning. I didn't have um, an agenda other than raising the vibe to love and above. I mean, that
mm-hmm.
was the whole Megillah right there. And I had no clue. I mean, they just like, okay, so you're going to drum. And then just stuff would just like pour.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite fascinating. And so we're all here to serve. And as soon as we embody that, embrace that, really take that to our heart, then your heart starts looking for where can I serve.
Mm.
My neighbor and I have this ongoing gifting program. He gifts me little things, and I find things and I gift them to him back. And it's just really beautiful. And when you think about that, when was the last time any of us did something nice for our neighbor?
Mm.
I mean, just that simple gesture.
How
Um,
many of us know our neighbor?
ooh, I have two Steves and a Carly.
That sounds like a sitcom.
Some days. And, I live on Native American land, so there's a lot of freedom of expression here.
Mm.
Not everybody nobody has the same house, nobody has the same yard, nobody has the same stuff in it. And, so it's it's a beautifully eclectic group of people who are just following their dharma. And
Speaking of your land, I know that you have a retreat coming up this summer. So tell us a little bit more about that and how people that are listening, either now or in the future, can connect with you and work with you.
beautiful. Well, the way that I'm doing this is that we're having a phone conversation because I want to make sure that this is really going to serve you. And so, what we're doing is we are doing a sound bath. So, we're going to clear our chakras and be open and available to all that the universe has for us. We're going to do a medicine walk and a medicine wheel as well, knowing what direction are we sitting in, because just like my logo here, this is north, this is south.
Show us it. It's so beautiful. Yes. Oh, that's gorgeous. And that's your drum with the 4 directions?
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
So we're right down here now.
Okay.
Okay, going that way. All right. So um and honoring and really knowing what direction are you sitting in. In our life we're sitting, or we're kind of assigned different directions. Youth is kind of up here, and this is winter solstice, summer solstice, spring equinox, and autumn equinox. And
Hmm.
so midway through this is in bulk, February the 1st, and this is Beltane, where we just were.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're on our way, or we're midway. And this is the important thing that I think has actually been forgotten. This should be science. It should be taught in science, because it's not the first day of spring. It's equal night and equal day. And most people don't have a clue.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the wheel of life. It's
Yes.
important to understand the cycle.
Yes, yes. hmm because when you're 7 years old, you're not doing the same things that you're doing at 47.
Hmm.
We are amazing shapeshifters. We spend our whole life shapeshifting. Every day, you're
Mm.
not, when you get up in the morning, you're not who you were when you laid down at night. You have 300,000 cells have died and being replaced.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when you meditate at night, what you do is you set yourselves up to be a different frequency than the day before. So every
Mm.
night when you meditate, all those new cells are doing this thing where they're like, oh yeah, and then every time you upgrade them like that, more, oh yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yep. Program yourselves to love and above.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mhm.
Train your brain.
Yeah.
Because right back here, we have a little reptilian brain.
Hmm.
We're the brain stem. So I teach people how to give their reptilian brain a little massage. Because when you're going to do something new, it's looking for what's going to go wrong. How can I possibly, figure this out ahead of time? And even if there's nothing going wrong, it will make something up to keep you safe.
Right. To protect, right?
Yeah. And so you don't go out, you don't try something new, you stay right where you are, which can be kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in being unstoppable.
Yeah, that's what we
When
want to be. Absolutely.
some of us.
Well, if they're friends with us, I think they want to be unstoppable.
Yes, all my friends are unstoppable. So the thing about who am I, honestly, it better change every day. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
foundation, like on my door, it says I am love. But I'm telling you, there's some days that, I have my trusty little knife out here and I'm cutting cords. And, you know, do I remember I'm cutting them with love? Not always, you know, because
Mhm.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who are you? And I've got it.
Mm.
So here's a little story that will help everyone. So most of us are born of either lust or love, right? Most of us, not all, not all. So you are either lust or you're love. I mean, how awesome is that? And you get to choose. Oh, do I want to be lust? And we've made that kind of only about sex. But you can lust after a baked potato,
Yeah, sure you
especially
can.
a good one. See? So you get to choose. And if those are your two choices and you bring it down, peanut butter or cheese,
Mm-hmm.
love or lust, then we stop all of the nonsense about, I don't like those people, and I don't like those people, and I don't like that, and I don't like that, and I don't like this other thing. And you just go, I wonder how I can infuse a lot of love on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like last night, um, after the Beltane ceremony and the memorial and all of that, I was sitting outside and one of my neighbors was having a thing. And I went, oh, I'm just going to send some love over there. So I sent some love over there. A few minutes later, she's taking her dogs for a walk.
Yep.
So, you know, and Lynn Grabhorn wrote a fabulous book. It's called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And she talked about it in there about how you intend for someone else to have a different behavior. And you keep that intention and you keep that intention and you keep that intention. And, she said sometimes she had an example, her tenants were leaving the outdoor light on all the time, and she didn't want them to. So she marched over there and did that way, and then that didn't really work. And so then she started just intending that they were going to turn off the light. They were going to turn off the light. They were going to turn off the light. It took 6 weeks, but they turned off the light.
Mm-hmm.
And we give up after 6 days. Oh,
Mm.
it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So choose. Do you want to be love or do you want to be lust?
Mm-hmm.
And you can switch it up. You don't always have to be one or the other. When I first did the meditation with Deepak and Oprah, which I love their meditations, it told me that first day that I was, who am I? It said love. And I was like, yeah, right. Because I can be a bee. So, and so I got the meditation after. I didn't want to just stay on that day. I wanted to do the 21 days because, I like to keep up and stuff. And so I got the meditation afterwards and I stayed on that first meditation for 21 days because I was just like, no way am I love. No,
Mm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to, I didn't want to embrace that idea. And, that was 7 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that.
And look, now you're loving and vibing and bringing it all for everybody else.
Yeah. And look at that. It only took 5 years. Well, minus two. So, we get to decide, we seriously get to decide every single solitary day. Am I going to get grouchy today or am I going to get glorious?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll go for glorious and always take the higher path.
And what if you don't? What if you're grouchy? What if you realize,
Oh, get into it. Give her. So when you start to think about what do you desire, because
mm-hmm.
when people think about desires, we've been kind of churched up about how desire is bad and, base and like not spiritual. But imagine this. Imagine you having a desire for a chocolate ice cream. And the only way that spirit gets to experience that chocolate ice cream is by you licking it. Imagine that. Without your willingness to do that, spirit doesn't get that experience because we are spiritual beings having a very physical experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a desire, my thing is do what you will, but ye harm none. And as
Mm-hmm.
long as it's not harming yourself to be eating that chocolate, then by all means indulge yourself. Life is
I'll
not
share ice cream with spirit any day. So that's
and popcorn and cheese sandwiches. Yes, everything. Seriously, if we were to think like that, if we were to think, oh, I'm sharing this with spirit, whatever it is, think
mm,
about the elevation of, like you just, I don't know, that made me just taller right there. So, yeah,
it's the joy factor, right? If we're unstoppable, if we're living in love, there's also that frequency of joy that comes in it because your Yahoo yes is a joy. It brings joy, it brings happiness, and that's what we all need more of and what we deny ourselves all the time.
isn't it fascinating?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, and we think we're being martyrs.
Oh, that is in my chart. I am working on that. I am working on getting rid of that backseat. I don't want it.
Well, the thing is, you can probably go back. See, I think everything is on our DNA. So if you know something, because there's all kinds of stuff that there's no way that I ought to know this stuff, but I just know this stuff. And
Mm.
I believe it's on our DNA and that it's carried along. So if I'm pretty sure that I was a priestess in the temple of Isis, not with Isis, but in that temple and in
Hmm.
that tradition, because I just know things that unless you were immersed in the culture, how would you know that?
Right. There's
So,
that knowing that comes in with when your intuition starts kicking in. There's this knowing that you want to doubt, but you're right. I just know it. It's hard to explain it, but I just know it.
yep. Well, that is what we, especially women, have been trained out of because
Mm.
we were denied jobs because we'd be all hysterical, and then we'd have a time where we were bleeding, and oh my lord, like that's too much, and so we were actually ostracized from a lot of society because we're creators, right?
Mm.
I mean,
Hmm.
women create the world,
Hmm.
I mean, we do. We raise children who are either how we want them to be or not quite. And then you can look and go, okay, that didn't quite work. And so we hold a lot of essence, and
Mm.
our essence is honestly it's generous, it's compassionate, it's loving, it's reaching out, it's sharing. I mean, this is women's way, I believe, and what you're doing is women's way. You're going, I'm going to connect with these people and I'm just going to share it out there.
The stories, because everyone's lived, even people who think I haven't lived an exciting life, when they actually sit down and start telling their story, there's beautiful moments in there. And we all just need to acknowledge, like, we have a story to share and we have wisdom to share. And I'm so honored that we were able to connect today. Do you have a website, or how can people get in touch with you?
Well, actually, what I'm doing right now is I'm having them book a call because the
Right.
most intimate thing we can do is I not send you to a piece of paper that says something or other, but let's chat because this is the way that this is the way we're going to do it. And my
Hmm.
retreat that's coming up is the 24th to the 26th of June. Um, we talked about the medicine walk, the sound bath. We're going to make medicine drums, and we're going to journey with our drums. We're going to have a beach walk. We're going to do some other journeys, and we're going to set ourselves up for consecrating our drums a couple of weeks afterwards. So, not
Sounds
only is it a 3-day experience, but we'll get back together and do sacred ceremony a couple of weeks later and wake up our drums all together. So,
Oh, it sounds magical. And where are you again?
I'm in Tulalip, Washington, and
Okay.
the retreat is called Wild Women Igniting Long Forgotten Dreams.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's
sounds
fun.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. Well, for everyone that is on my page, I am friends with Sheila, so you can connect through me. If you have any questions, reach out to me and I will connect you to her. Or likewise, if you're on Sheila's page and you would like to be interviewed by me, or if I'm also a healer and I have workshops as well, but I'm in New Hampshire, other
Yes,
side of
but
the
you know
coast.
how to Zoom.
I do know, I figured it out. I'm like doing well. um, but we are in this beautiful, wonderful world of humanity. And I am so blessed and honored to be able to connect to souls like you. And thank you for not even realizing how important you were in my life, but following a yes and coming and honoring me by being here with me today. I feel very humbled. It is my honor to be with you. It is my honor to be in your presence. And I want to thank you so much for drumming during COVID. I want to thank you for who you are and what you put out into this world. Thank you for bringing the vibration up and making this world and this planet a more beautiful place with you in it. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my honor. Thank you so much. Shaman Weaver Shiela Baker here. Um, Come and join my Facebook group, Enlightened Spiritual Warriors, and friend me.
Yes.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everyone. Have
Thank
a
you,
blessed day.
Paige.
Thanks for joining us. And let me make sure we do this right. Technology. Bye bye.
Bye.